Welcome back to Water Polo Wednesday. This is the third in a 5-part series of conference championships breakdowns. In today's episode, we are going to break down the extremely competitive BigWest Conference. UCI completed an undefeated conference season, going a record 6-0, and earned themselves the number 1 seed, while UCSD earned the 2 seed. Both teams will receive a first-round bye in their conference play, but nothing is certain or guaranteed in this conference, with much of their games being decided by 1 goal. Who's the favorite? Who could wreak havoc? And could someone else surprise and shake up the Big West? Let's dig in on the Big West Conference Championship breakdown on this episode of Water Polo Wednesday.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Water Polo Wednesdays with Wes and Clay. I'm Clay.
I'm Wes.
And I'm really excited about this conference, Wes. Big West. Big West, talking about the Big West. We are getting into one of the more competitive and deeper conferences here. From the start of the tournament, let's break down the matchups. Go for it.
Yes, let's. UC Santa Barbara gets Long Beach State. These two teams just played. UCSB came out with a win in OT, which basically means, hey, anybody can win that game. Good on UCSB to get that win, but, they've got to do it again now. You love that first round matchup. I'm not sure how healthy Long Beach is, but then they went and stomped on UCI, who won the conference this past week. So I don't know if they have a key player hurt or not. It seems as though they did, but then they didn't. I heard some things and whatever else. Regardless, they've got to take down UCSB in that first round. On the other side of it, you've got Davis and Fullerton. Fullerton, a younger program, still building under Kyle Witt. This won't be their year to upset Davis, but good to see another program coming up.
Absolutely. Then we've got UCI and UCSD winning in the semifinals. Where does this go from there?
Yeah, and this is where it gets interesting, right? That's Long Beach Santa Barbara game is going to be good, but then UCI gets the winner of that. UCSD gets probably Davis. UCSD, in my opinion, is really rising at the right time. I think they have the most overall talent in the conference. They'll get Davis after Davis beats Fullerton, and I think UCSD feels pretty good about that. They just beat Davis by 1 at Davis. And though this tournament is also at Davis, it's going to be tough. This is no guarantee. I think if UCSD gets through this match, remember they get a bye and Davis does not, then it lines up in their favor. But you can't sleep on Davis and Dan Leeson. He's too good of a coach to lose twice to the same team, especially at home. And on the other side, you've got UCI getting the winner of Long Beach and Santa Barbara. And here's the thing. UCI beat both of these teams by 1 goal in the regular season. It feels like every game was 1 goal. So you have UCSD beating Davis by 1, UCI beating San Diego, Long Beach, Davis, and Santa Barbara, all by 1 goal. 1 goal, Clay. That's it. Like that's as much of a toss-up of a conference of those 4 or 5 teams that I've ever seen.
Yeah, wild. So UCI goes undefeated and wins 4 games, all 1-goal games, to take first in the Big West.
Yeah, how stressful is that? Hey, we took first in our conference, but that's got to be the toughest conference to feel like you don't feel like you won a whole lot when it's always 1 goal down to the very last minute, right?
You get the first seed in the conference tournament, but then you think, that makes my entry into the tournament a little bit easier. Not the case here.
Not at all. And this really is anyone's tournament. I don't know how much seeding is going to matter. I genuinely think any of these teams can win this conference. It's going to be an incredible weekend of water polo. I am so pumped to see how this shakes out.
Yeah. Walk us through how you think this conference plays out more holistically.
Yeah, so I've got a chart here. As you know, I love my charts, and when things aren't generally available for me, I kind of just build it myself, bracket it up. So let's start the tournament. Yep, here we go. So you've got UCI playing the winner here. I've got Long Beach actually winning this game over Santa Barbara. I've got, of course, Davis in this case beating Fullerton. I do have San Diego beating them a second time. I think Landon Ackerstrom, Lucas Omeguera, Bennett Axline. I think Ante Busov has a good game here. I think they take that one, even though it is at Davis and they end Davis' season there. This is going to shock some people. I've actually got Long Beach State. I've got Long Beach State beating UCI here. I do. And look, I just think Long Beach is so dangerous. Gabi Acosta in the middle. Corbin Stanley, who's a former LA Athletic Club guy, young kid, but he's really growing and coming onto the scene. Loving him. I think they're a lot to handle with some of their shooters. UCI's got Luka Krstic, who's a 6'7" freak of an athlete. Are they good enough? Are they deep enough? We're going to find out. I'm going to take the risk, take the gamble here. And believe it or not, Clay, I've got Long Beach going all the way. I know it's going to shock some people, and I could be terribly wrong, but that's why it's a prediction, not a fact.
Fascinating. Man, I love these visuals. The visual really helps. Talking about it's one thing, but seeing it's another. That's fascinating. Hard to believe that it's so competitive and tight at that conference. Cannot wait to get more info and break this thing down with our guest, Luka Krstic, coming up next.
Welcome back, everyone. Luka Krstic, the man from UCI, leading goal scorer for UCI, number 3 in the Big West. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you on here with us. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us during your conference championship week. Obviously, you're quite busy. You've got school, you've got practice. I'm not sure when midterms are, but I'm sure there's not a ton of free time this week. So it means a lot that you would take the time.
No, of course, anytime.
Yeah. Now, you've been a prolific scorer, not just in terms of UCI, but 3rd in the Big West overall. Talk to us about how you're able to put up so many goals for UCI this year. I mean, you've been all year. It's been your name at the top of the score sheet. What do you contribute that to? Or I should say attribute that to?
Well, I think it comes down to just the belief your teammates have in you a lot of the time. And in the recent games, actually, I haven't been on the top scoring sheets, but I've actually had a pretty low shooting percentage. But at the end of the day, they support me no matter what. And usually when I score my first 2 goals, from then I just kind of get in a groove, and it feels like I can all the nets open up and all the holes open up in the goal. So
it just looks bigger.
It just looks bigger, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then, of course, the coaches. I mean, they've had the belief in me. It was a rough freshman year, actually. But then ever since sophomore year, I gained my confidence. And I think the confidence from last season actually helped me a lot into coming in hot this season as well.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys finished 1st in your conference, undefeated conference record, going 5-0. Talk to us about how you're going to continue that streak into the conference championship.
Well, going into the conference championship, the main goal we set on Saturday was our first training, obviously. Going into it, we have 4 trainings left. So we have to make every training as quality as we can. And I mean, honestly, our togetherness as a team has been incredible over the last 2-3 weeks. And even when we're down in those conference games, I mean, we were down to Santa Barbara, I remember, by 3, then going down again by 3 to Davis. We always have this belief, no matter what, that we're going to win the game. And in the 3rd quarter usually is when that shows. And I just know that we're a very resilient team, and that's something that can hold us. Even though the water polo may not be pretty all the time, I think that belief really makes us get the dubs.
Belief over beauty. Great.
Yeah.
Belief over beauty. Clayton might have found his new tagline.
That's mine. Yours is life is short, score goals. Mine is belief over beauty.
Over beauty. I think that's fitting. That's fitting. I love that answer, man. That, it's not always pretty, but good teams find ways to win tough games. And I'm really curious, what do you think's made UCI so effective this year and better than the rest? If you were to call it out, the differentiating factor that's helped you win so many 1-goal games. I think every single conference game, but every conference game against your top 4 in your conference were all 1-goal games.
Yeah.
What is it about UCI that you find it? Is it a team thing? Is it an elite shooter? Is it a play? What differentiates you from everybody else?
I think we're actually a very deep team this year. We have a great group of freshman boys that are just playing their heart out. They're listening to the seniors. There's not that much arguments in between the teams. There's no any players hating on each other. And then if the first line if we come in flat, we actually have a very strong second group of boys that usually keep up the intensity, and vice versa. If the second group's not playing well, we just do 6-for-6 rotations. And I think later in the games, a lot of teams actually end up being gassed out. But since we have that 6-for-6 rotation, we've been able to stay fit and keep pushing on the buttons and keeping up the speed of the game constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an advantage, having that second line going in that's just as strong. You're playing for Dan Klatt. We
Yeah.
are big fans of Dan Klatt. Shout out to Coach Klatt for helping us again host the Bob Neely Memorial Cup at UCI.
Yep.
So talk to us about the team culture and chemistry that he has installed there. And he's only just started as the men's coach a few years
Yes.
ago, right? There's not a lot of time that's passed for him to really build the Klatt culture, if you will.
Yeah. So I can take you to the beginning as a freshman. Dan was a very strict coach, and I think especially his first season, he wanted to establish a discipline because the program wasn't so tight before he came. And his belief, one thing he told us, I think that kind of changed our perspective is no matter who we play, we have to think that we're going to win the game. And even though that may not sound realistic on a wide scale and to the people watching the game and wherever we were ranked back then, whatever it was, 15, once again, like, it comes down to that belief that he's put into us. And then each training, like, I mean, accountability was a major factor as well. Everyone has to be self-accountable of their mistakes. And a lot of guys used to brush it off, it's like, oh, it's whatever. But lately, ever since his join, people have been getting on each other. The trainings have been more competitive as well. And, if you make a mistake, you're willing to be like, oh, that's my bad. I messed up, and not blame others for something that you did. And that's a culture that's stuck around for the last 3 years. And I think that's slowly been chipping away and helping us build a really good team chemistry and culture.
We like to say culture is defined by what you choose to say no to. And if you don't allow kind of people like making excuses, you get this extreme ownership where now people really care about what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? Because if they're not held responsible, why do people care? People tend to take path of least resistance. Talk to me coming up into your conference championship here. It's really an exciting time for you guys. You are ranked number 1. You do get you get one of 2 buys, you and UCSD. But your second round game, despite being the 1 seed, is going to be, or at least your first game, which is kind of the semifinals, is going to be either Long Beach or Santa Barbara. Both very good teams.
Very good. Both
teams you beat by 1 goal in conference play. Do you have a preference of who you play, and so why?
I think for the team, for any best team, they have to beat anyone that comes their way. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly have a preference. Actually, I would love to play Long Beach again, especially
there it is.
especially after last week, if you ask me personally. And I mean, I have a feeling it will be potentially Long Beach again, just because everything's built up to this. Both teams have 1 win on each other. It's a big rivalry, and I think it'll be a good finale to this season as well.
Yeah.
In the semifinal, both great teams though, and I think no matter what, we're gonna work this week to prepare for either.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, we like to ask everyone this following question, but what metric specifically is the highest priority for your team going into this conference championship? Metric, statistic, measurement.
6-on-5 percentage, 5-man percentage, field blocks. I mean,
we've heard entries into 2 meters as being one of them. Yeah.
I think, me personally, I think the team with the best 5 and 6 percentage, to me, whoever stops the most 6-on-5s usually ends up being the winning team, or vice versa. The team with the highest 6-on-5 percentage is usually the team that'll end up winning a tournament. I mean, you look at the 2020 Olympic Games, Greece and Serbia both had the highest 6-on-5 percentages. Those were the teams in the final. So I think that's, to me, it comes down to the 5-man and 6-on-5 as a major metric to winning teams.
Yeah, it makes sense. We hear that a lot, but always curious. Everybody seems to have something a little different flavor of that, but good to know. All right, man. Look, we've loved having you here. This has been awesome. And I'm very appreciative of spending time with you. We like to give you the opportunity. This is your platform. Any shout outs, anything you'd like to say, the studio's yours.
No, I just wanted to say, again, I appreciate you guys inviting me to your channel, and it was great talking to you both. And hopefully we win the BigWest.
Yeah, you've got quite a conference, right? Very competitive, very, very even. I feel like, Santa Barbara's won some games. Long Beach won some games. San Diego's kind of on the rise. I think I certainly have a hard time predicting who's going to come out of this conference. But best of luck to you. We're cheering for you, man. And thank you again for taking the time to come on with us.
Thank you, guys. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
You wouldn't know that guy is what, 6'7"?
6'7", yeah.
6'7" on camera? My goodness. Yeah. But when he plays, you can tell.
You can. He's very long.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Water Polo Wednesday, Wes. What do we got coming up next?
Now, tomorrow night, we're getting into the highest rated RPI conference in the country, the WCC. So be sure to tune in again tomorrow night, and we'll release another episode for you as we continue this streak of 5 episodes in 5 days, all part of Conference Championship Week.
You.